Carl and Liam here from Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's We're Afraid of the Dark. Our Are You Afraid of the Dark talk through and review series. It is, of course, season 3, episode 3, The Tale of Watcher's Woods. Written by Gregory Kennedy and directed by David Winning. Okay, we have a new member of the Midnight Society. So I'm just going to tell you that it's Joanna Garcia as Sam, the new Midnight Society member. Whereas the story cast is as follows: Kendall Saunders as Sarah, Jules State as Kelly, Tom Rack as the Watcher, Sheila Larkin as Boss Hag, Victoria Barkov as Headband Hag, and Babs Gadboy as Bo Hag. So there's a couple of interesting facts about this. This was one of the only Nickelodeon shows ever to show a character about to light a cigarette. Because of course, a kids' channel would not do shit like that.
Well, yeah. I know the point in the episode when it comes up, but I obviously didn't think much of it. But I can see why that might have got maybe some people annoyed, some parents maybe.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is Sam's first story, so we get a debut story here. Tom Rack, who portrays the Watcher, he previously appeared in the season 1 episode, The Tale of the Pinball Wizard, where he played the security guard and the sheriff. Obviously, like you, no doubt, and myself, I didn't know that. I couldn't remember that. I'd like to forget that episode exists.
There was something about his face when I saw it. I was like, I know you're from somewhere, and now you mention it, even though that episode was terrible. I do actually remember him. So yeah, he made
Well,
an impact, I suppose.
he also co-wrote that episode, which I personally wouldn't be that proud of.
Yeah, maybe don't put that one on your CV.
Sheena Larkin, who portrays Boss Hag, previously portrayed the nanny in The Tale of the Lonely Ghost. I was disappointed I didn't recognize her because the nanny had a pretty significant role in that, but I don't know, maybe it's because of the hag look. It's very hard to kind of put the two together.
I have quite like a photographic memory, so as soon as you said that, I can immediately picture her. And yeah, I didn't notice it at the time though. But it's one of those things where you're like, I feel like I know your face from somewhere.
I thought this was just interesting from a sort of mistake perspective, but this episode, in the production order, so how it was produced, actually comes before Apartment 214. However, that's clearly an issue because this episode has Betty Ann saying that episode had Betty Ann saying Sam would be introduced. So do you know what I mean? Like, how did they mess that up to the point where obviously they had to air it separately and mess up the production order because of the fact that they had, by saying Sam was going to be introduced, they basically had to ensure Apartment 214 came before this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I'm always discussing like I wonder the behind the scenes type things of these sort of the filming and whatnot. Like, do you think they filmed every single like introductory moment for each episode with the storytellers around the camp introducing the stories for each one like in one go, one after another, and then it was someone's job to ensure that they'd be used obviously in the correct order. But that you can see how that might go wrong, and this is
I,
definitely one
I
of yeah.
I think you've literally nailed it there. Ultimately, it's particularly because you're doing outside filming and all of that, you are literally going to do those all in one. Maybe not one particular session, but within a couple of days. Like that is what it is. Because ultimately, all you're doing is changing like costumes, doing this, doing that, and stuff like that. And then this is what you. Yeah, I think you're knocking them all out as quickly as possible. I think.
Yeah. Also, I found out that actually the Midnight Society set is actually a set. Unfortunately, even though it looks quite convincing, it is actually a on a soundstage, I believe. So, yeah, they didn't actually do it outside.
That actually makes a lot more sense. The lack of ambient noise, yeah, like if they were doing it outside, like it's very hard to hide a lot of in the woods. You're going to be getting a lot of creatures and noises.
Also, quickly mentioning the cigarette moment and how that maybe might have annoyed parents and viewers. Another thing that I did find out was that they never actually ever show them lighting the fire, the campfire themselves, like making it, because the creators behind the show didn't want people to like kids and stuff to watch it and basically learn through the show how to make a forest fire and how to make a fire. Basically, so it's never actually shown how they do it. It's already immediately burning when the show begins. Yeah.
Of course, all we ever really see is the dousing of the fire.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. All right, it's time for a newbie, and a thunderstorm is kicking up at the campsite. So probably best, guys. I know you like telling your scary stories in the freaking goddamn around the fire, but when a lightning is cracking overhead, I'm not sitting there. I'm going home, you lunatics.
I wonder what their home lives are like because They all seem like, I mean, it's the middle of the night and they're out in the middle of the woods, presumably. So I wonder, can't be too great at home for them. A lot of these kids.
That is true. Okay. Betty Ann is seen speaking to an unidentified person, sitting down wearing a sack as over her or his head. She tells the person as soon as the others get there, she'll take the bag off. Edwin arrives and Tucker's not happy to be out in a potential storm. Tucker's my man. He gets it. The sack is taken off the head, and everyone expects to see a boy named Sam because obviously Sam being a boy's name, sorry. And instead, it's actually a girl named Sam, short for Samantha. And you know what, man? Don't be idiots, people. Really, Sam, Samantha, that's very, very possible. Admittedly, don't get me wrong, but at no point did anybody sort of ask Betty Ann.
Very good point. And I don't know, I felt like, am I the only one that didn't get this whole big thing they make about her being called Sam and it being a girl? Because, like, that seems like a fairly common shortening of the name Samantha to me. Maybe it's not a thing in Canada or whatnot. But like where we're from, that seems like fairly common. So, but that makes it quite a big deal out of it. Yeah. So,
I would go further than that. I would argue so. The weeks that built up to this, Betty Ann, when speaking about Sam, basically never identified her gender. So chose to refer, like, I mean, for, maybe she's non-binary, except that she acknowledges in this that she is a girl. She does actually acknowledge it herself. So
well,
at some point, Betty Ann never went like, oh yeah, Sam, she, her, or anything like that. Like, never used that. What she always referred to as them or they or what like we like I know I'm being well pedantic about it here, but it's just everyone's reaction to it, particularly as it's basically really cheesy because the boys are all like,
yeah.
girl, pretty
The thing is,
girl.
I think that's it. They're just the whole name thing is like irrelevant. It's actually about the fact that the girls are not happy that now there's like this the other girls are not happy there's now this attractive other girl being there, and the boys I guess are intimidated in the sense that she's an attractive young lady, and they like are that sort of thing.
I hope I would be nice if that actually becomes a thing as we go on because Frank even tries to flirt and suggesting that the boys are quite taken with her, but you get the likes of Betty Ann and Kiki sort of being like, fuck this bitch, she come along stealing my man, these man boys, that kind of thing, do you know what I mean?
Becomes majorly territorial all of a sudden.
Yeah. Anyway, Gary seems to instantly like her and proceeds to ask if she knows the rules. Sam says she does, which is tell a story, and if they like it, they can join the group. And I love that. I know she didn't mean to do it, but she mugged Gary off so good there because Gary's all like, "Do you know the rules?" And she's like, "Yeah, you tell a story, and then you get accepted or you don't." It's like, "Yes, Gary, it's not complicated, you jackass."
And he tries to act like it's, yeah, like you said, super complex.
Sam tells him she had plenty of stories she could have told him, but she picked one that seems to fit the night's setting. There are many ancient legends in the woods, legends of spirits such as the Manitoba and the Wendigo. Whatever happened, she asked, these spirits once people showed up to destroy their world. Many moved on, she says, but some say the most evil ones never left, with twisted hearts full of revenge for all who dare disturb their home. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, this is the tale of Watchers of Woods. Love the introduction, got me thinking like, oh, we're going to see some Pet Cemetery shit going on here and all of that. Oh my God, people, this is absolute trash of a story as far as I'm concerned. Outside some visual stuff that I quite like. But like the problem is her setup made me go, yeah, man, there are some classic spirit stories out there. And the fact that she mentioned things like the Wendigo, and I'm thinking like, oh, there could be some real cool stuff around that. That's not really what we do.
Unfortunately not. But yeah, I do think the actress who plays Sam did sell it quite well. So good job.
Agreed. The story takes place at a girls' summer camp called Camp Grindlestone. It centers on two very different girls. Sarah, an ambitious overachiever who earns every medal a trailmaker could earn, and was looking forward to the challenges awaiting her her first time at this particular camp. The only problem was that she was always so busy with activities she never made much time for friends. She's a nerd, a basically outdoors nerd.
Hmm.
Kelly, on the other hand, doesn't like camping. She had been to this camp before and she hates it, but she had a lot of friends, so she certainly didn't mind being there at least for that sort of side of things. So we got two opposites here. We kind of see where this is going already. Kelly is pulling a heavy trunk of clothes, and she and Sarah bump into each other. Kelly is not impressed and takes an instant dislike to Sarah, even though the latter tries to be nice. It looks, though, as if they're going to be staying in the same building, and we cut to later where we see Kelly and some of her campers mocking Sarah's trailmaker's vest. So we got, basically, Mean Girls with head Mean Girl.
Indeed.
I don't know about you, but like I kind of roll my eyes. I'm just like, tiresome stuff. And I bet by the end they become friends.
Yeah, it's quite interesting you say that because immediately I was it's just another one of those concepts that I just feel like there's quite a few of them where I've just seen done it way too many times in these shows now, and this is one of them. The whole camp setting, and the character who's not who's like a goody two shoes who isn't easily like frayed or got onto and stuff. It's kind of been done quite a few times, I feel. So it's becoming quite glaring in that way. Yeah.
Folks, unless you are the Goosebumps episodes, Welcome to Night Camp Nightmare, and you've got an ending that's so batshit insane that we literally could not enjoy the episode, don't even try. That's the bar setter. Be nuts or don't even bother.
I mean, you'll never top that. That's the thing. I think I'm just like it's like I'm cold going into it because I just know it's never going to hit that level again. I need that hit, but it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Impossible. It's
Um,
impossible.
it is because nobody would be that stupid to write something so dumb. But there you go. Kelly makes jokes about the badges and achievements on the vest, and her friends find it. Oh, you know how it goes. It's so funny, laughing away in the background, little goons as they are. And Sarah arrives looking for a vest, and Kelly hides it, claiming she doesn't know where it is. Now, Sarah notices a plaque on the wall, one in memory of three young girls who went missing and were never seen again. The plaque basically has three pictures, and they're all like black and white, of Trailmaker girls, and three golden whistles below each picture. The message on the plaque says, "Never enter Watcher's Woods ever," which is a bit of an extreme message to put under a plaque, I thought.
Yeah, I guess it's a good way of keeping like the students that are there or whatever like to not hopefully stop them from going into the woods and stuff when they're not supposed to.
No, that is not how it works, unfortunately, because you've forgotten the important plot point, which is Watcher's Woods doesn't actually is not a real place. It's a suggested that if you get lost in the woods, you could end up in Watcher's Woods, which is where the spooky shit goes on. So the idea that someone would put that on a plaque, even though, like, in theory, all it suggests is these three girls got lost in the woods somewhere and then died and the bodies were never found. That's a real plaque you might do. By adding that message to it, you're implying there's some sort of supernatural element to it, and you wouldn't have that plaque up. You wouldn't.
That, that is actually very odd. Now you point it out. Yeah, they could have worded it a bit differently, I think.
Well, yes, because immediately, curiously, she asks what Watcher's Woods is, and Sylvie, who's playing a piano in the background, playing a very familiar tune, which is a nice touch, does the classic thing of just stopping dead, and everybody goes quiet. Like it's proper
Yeah.
like scary. Kelly tells her since she's new, she'll tell her, explaining that Watcher's Woods is a place where people just mysteriously disappear and vanish, and it's said to have existed for centuries, and people have been disappearing there for centuries. Indian tribes, colonial soldiers, pioneers, all have disappeared and were never seen again. Where is it? Legend says it just moves around and round from one forest to another. It is like a shark looking for victims, and once you realize you're inside, it's too late. So yeah, that's it. It literally tells us it's supernatural.
Yeah.
Sarah is a believer in the story but asks more questions, such as why it's called Watcher's Woods. Apparently, those who escape come back mad, claiming that it's controlled by the Watcher, the evil demon who rules over the woods and picks out its victims. The three girls on the plaque were said to have disappeared in Watcher's Woods in 1919. Tomorrow will be the 75th anniversary of when it happened. Those girls went on a hike and were never seen again. The only thing the searchers ever found were their whistles. And the story ends with an arrival of a mouse which causes panic, and Sarah sees a vest and realizes that Kelly might actually not be a good person. So lots of detail here, people. Basically, all of this is just setting up what's going to happen. I didn't care for it because it's why I don't care for it is because this sort of thing should be done very concisely and simply. This is dragged out and overly complex about not only a wood that moves around, but that wood exists in other woods. You can get lost in there, but also it's controlled by a demonic entity, and like people can sometimes get out of it, yet they're driven. Like, so it's a lot.
Yeah. It's literally the entire first half of the episode is setting up all these things, and like I said, it's all technically fine. The acting is fine, and the setup is fine, sure, but it's just like, and there's somewhat of an intrigue because like there always is that because you're always kind of wondering where the hell this is gonna end up going. But like I said, it's just seen it done a few too many times. Kids at the camp, there's a mystery in the woods, or there's an abandoned building you shouldn't go into, and it's just like just for me to get to the point. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Okay, so the next day, the camp counselors pair all the girls on teams of two. Oh my God, their goal is to collect as many specimens as they can for their nature medals and be back before dark. Right, stop right there. What specimens? You freaking lunatics. Collect as many specimens. That's literally specimens of what? Leaves? Animals? Am I coming back with corpses over my shoulder? What am I? What specimens? Bugs?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't really they don't specify, do they?
It's really weird. I had this image of these girls coming back with bloodied hands and like skinned deer over their shoulder. Specimen. Yeah, so they need to be back before dark. Against their will, the councillors pair Kelly and Sarah up. Now, whereas this could be a silly little trope, they actually do offer a good explanation to this. Kelly's knowledge of the camp will help the newbie Sarah. That's why. It's random, but they're like, hey, Sarah needs to be guided. Kelly, you've been here a few times before. You could be a person. Sarah, interestingly though, mocks Kelly, suggesting, hey, maybe we can find Watcher's woods. And I was like, all right, Sarah, give it a bit. I like it.
Yeah.
And Kelly says, stay out of my face. In the woods, Sarah and Kelly acknowledge their issues and different personalities and come to a compromise. What? That actually was the most shocking scene in this episode. It's like, that is so sensible. However, of course, it leads to silliness because Kelly's like, look, Sarah, I will lead you to a rare pheasant's nest. And afterwards, your part of this is that we'll go back to camp and just chill out. And Sarah's like, a rare pheasant's nest? Sign me up. I can't wait. That is, I actually almost appreciate it. When they know they have to set up this trope, write something stupid and weird. And it's like someone went, well, what should it be? Oh, why not a rare pheasant? I was like, yeah, that works. Like, that's cool.
Do that. Yeah.
Of course, it's a ruse, and Kelly ends up taking Sarah's backpack and ditching her, or as I call it, leaving her for dead, because she takes her backpack and all her supplies. She could legitimately get lost and die and have no supplies, no food, no water. What the fuck, Kelly?
That's very true.
Sarah comes back out and realizes that Kelly tricked her and heads off to find her. However, Kelly herself has managed to get lost, and it seems as though she's going round in circles. Meanwhile, Sarah also has got lost and is the first of the two to run into something frightening, which is a man's face in the tree who greets her with the sinister words of "Welcome to my woods." And Sarah runs off screaming in terror. Listen, personally, people's faces appearing in trees has never been scary, ever. Like, and this isn't either for me. It just looks silly.
Yeah.
Just reminds me of the Great Deku Tree.
Mm.
Anyway, Kelly is now deep in another part of the woods and it's got dark and comes across an area lit with a green glow. In there, she comes across, in a surprising moment, a rotten animal head impaled
Mm.
on a stick. I was genuinely, I had to go back because you know it flashes past you like,
Yeah.
ah. I look back and I was like, no, that legitimately is. Now, we haven't mentioned it earlier on, but this is also the earlier on in the scene where Kelly took a cigarette out and Sarah kind of tells him off for having a lighter and then potentially causing a forest fire. But this is the second sort of risque thing this episode does. I was quite surprised.
No, I was just going to say, like, I was wondering if the maybe the age range was a bit higher on this episode because you got the disembodied, like, kind of slightly gory animal head, and then obviously the smoking thing. I wonder if like might have bumped up a little bit or not.
Yeah, it just sort of stood out. As I said, it's not like particularly graphic. You're not seeing like some goddamn over 18 slash cannibal Holocaust style freaking nastiness here. But it just kind of like it's clearly an animal head impaled on a stick.
Yeah, exactly. Not something you see every day in Afraid of the Dark, is it?
Absolutely. Anyway, she comes across a small campground with several old-fashioned items around, such as a very old phonograph, record player, and bamboo furniture. Clearly, someone lives here. But no one is here now. But as she looks around, she gets caught in a net trap and it's raised into the air, revealing three old, sort of dirty hag-style women who approach her and welcome her to Watcher's Woods. Kelly is tied up, and the three women demand answers, believing that Kelly stole their whistles. And Kelly's all like, I didn't steal nothing. So they randomly start shooting flaming arrows at her. Right, like this episode's trash, but for these whacked out moments where, like, they're just like, all right, well, shoot a flaming arrow at her. Like, I'm just like, what is going on? Why? Who thought again that? What do we need to do? Flaming arrow.
It's just random, it's true, but that is the only aspect of this show that this episode that is probably like enjoyable is the randomness. But
Yeah.
like also I didn't get like when she's walking into the camp and there's these you can see these levitating lanterns and stuff like that. It's like smack in the middle of the woods, and I just feel like maybe your reaction would be a little bit different to what she does, kind of thing. But yeah, I thought the like effects and stuff were fun, especially like the makeup effects on the witches and whatnot. Yeah, it looks like it's got like that sort of what's the word like sort of can't think I've lost the word, but yeah, it's got a nice look to it anyway.
I agree. I think you nail it with. I don't know if it's the writing or if it's Kelly, particularly the actor, but she's been pretty good so far. But yeah, she's so underwhelmed or underreacts to the entire series of events because even when she's in there kind of captured, she's far too not. She's not calm, but she should be fearing for her life, and she's kind of just more upset than anything else.
Yeah.
And of course, she eventually quickly puts together that these three women are the three missing girls from 1919. It annoyed me how long it took her to get to this. Annoyed
Hmm.
me because, like, it's the moment they mention, oh, whistles, I was like, well, that's the three girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, Sarah has also stumbled upon the camp and is watching the three women. That was such a convenient cut. You just kind of cut to Sarah being like, oh, I can see this.
Yeah.
The three women are completely unaware of time and apparently are convinced that Kelly is the one who stole their whistles and left them behind. They tell her that the Watcher captured them and promised to set their souls free when they found their whistles. So this needs better explanation. They still seem to think they're young. So what are they seeing when they look at each other? Are they seeing
Mm.
three young girls? But they're also then aware that they're being held hostage by the Watcher and they need to do a thing to get out. Like I don't get this.
Yeah, it's not very well explained.
Also, like, if I'm the Watcher, man, look, I'm capturing little girl. I'm capturing people in my woods. Am I bored? Is that why I need to give them a way to get out? Like, if I'm just capturing you and you're like, oh, well, what's the deal? How do I get out? I'm like, there ain't none. You don't. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
have to offer you a deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely delving too deeply into it.
Anyway, Kelly tells her, look, I know where the whistles are, and if she is set free, she'll go get them. And then really, we don't really know what to do with this episode, so we're just going to drag it out. The trio whisper, talk amongst each other, then go, all right, then, cool. They free Kelly. Kelly walks off, but as she walks off, they're like, oh, excuse me, we've changed our mind. And instead, they put her in a cage, saying, look, we don't really trust you because, you we've looked at your heart and you're an untrustworthy person, but we also know that you're scared of rats. So here's a bucket of mice that
Mm.
we're gonna put near you to then creep you out. This 2 minute scene is awful and it's filler as fuck. It's clear they had a runtime they needed it to fit, so they're like, well, what we'll do is we'll just drag it out by having them pretend to let her go.
Definitely.
With the tensions divided, Sarah is able to speak with Kelly, but actually gets caught. And she tells him, look, I know where the whistles are, and she will go get them. Which the old woman agreed to on the basis that we will keep Kelly as a prisoner. If you're not back by sunrise, she'll be food for the mice and the newts.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think mice and the newts kind of like eat humans, but they're fair enough. Sarah runs back to the camp at full speed. She gets a bit lost and navigates by finding the North Star. Nerd! However, the demon from before calls her and starts to torment her, revealing himself as the Watcher. There's a good scene, right? Because this whole like Watcher shit is just nonsense and really doesn't mean anything in the overall story aside from a reason for people to be trapped. However, again, in a moment of wait, what? A corpse pops out of the ground and morphs into the Watcher. Now it's done in near darkness, so it's very difficult to see, and it's a flash on the screen, but it is legitimately a corpse. You can see an eye. It's a bit crunchy looking. I was
Mm.
again what was a bit like, oh, didn't expect that.
Yeah, it was kind of impressive effects, I thought, so it was well done. Yeah.
Indeed. So the Watcher tells her that she fascinates him, and he needs another precious soul like hers to add to his precious woods and asks her to join him.
Mm.
What the fuck is this? What none of it? What a stupid character! What a pointless thing! And what do you mean? I thought you trapped them. Why are you asking her to join you? Why is her soul so special? I know she was momentarily suggested that she was like a pure soul or pure personal act, but you have not earned that. And everything up to this
No.
point, like, come on, man, it's weird. You know what it always screams of? You write this story and you write virgin instead of precious soul. Like in a film, this would be a virgin, except you can't write that because this is a child, and that shit is weird otherwise. So instead, you go, well, let's just make her a precious soul. What? But you've had 20 minutes, well, you've had 10 minutes, nearly 15, and done nothing really to show that. And then you've got this weird demon thing that's supposed to be so powerful going, please join me. What?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you nailed it there. And like, I did mention you did mention it previously, but like, even though I thought the acting was decent in this episode, I thought like the actress who played Sarah throughout some of these moments, just it didn't. Her ex she has quite like a blank expression at times to some of this craziness that's happening in front of her eyes. And I know she's supposed to be this brave character who I guess isn't scared too easily and whatnot, but like it just feels like they should be giving a little bit more to what is happening in front of her. Like you're literally seeing real supernatural shit taking place right there in front of you. You know, it's real, and like you're not really reacting appropriately, I thought.
I 100% agree. I hate this scene, and the fact it's resolved as simply as that Sarah has Kelly's cigarette lighter. She lights it, threatens to torch his woods unless he leaves her alone. So naturally, seeing fire, he's like, "Oh no, I'm a big demon thing who can't blow a flame out." That's it, and vanishes into the ground so Sarah can continue on. Yeah, this sucked. This sucks. She heads back to the cabin, smashes the glass in the plaque open, and retrieves the three whistles. Meanwhile, back at the old camp, the three women discuss something to do with Kelly. As they prepare to cook Kelly, Sarah runs in with the whistles just in time, but in a moment of clumsiness, she trips over and falls over, and the whistles fall out of her hand. One of those whistles somehow falls in a bucket of mice, but Sarah doesn't see that happening. So doesn't know where it is, passing over the whistles to the old women. They, of course, are like, no, there's only two. We need three whistles to break the spell, not two. Sarah's like, look, I've just dropped it. Let me find it. But they refuse and set her up to lose her head, suddenly doing magic stuff to put her in a guillotine. But Kelly did apparently see where the third whistle landed. However, she's scared of mice and rats, so to get it, she has to overcome her fear to reach into the rodent bucket and retrieve the third whistle, which she does, blowing it just as the blade comes down and Sarah is apparently saved. The guillotine disappears and she's fine. The three women now have their whistles, blowing them and glow and then vanish. And afterwards, everything from the camp is gone except three trail markers that say the sign is a symbol saying, I've gone home. Yeah, that's the whole big resolution at the end. They tried to make the whole whistle part so tense, but honestly, man, no, it doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't work for me at all either, because it's like if I just don't understand. Like, if all they needed were these whistles to be free, then why do they act so hostile in the first place? That they're being kept captive by this evil entity, this Watcher in the Woods. Okay, that doesn't mean that they have to also be like evil like he is, right? So why then it's like in a lot of these other episodes as well, where you have a ghost that basically is ultimately a nice ghost, but they do
Yeah,
all this weird, creepy shit and scare the people and just act really nasty instead of just asking nicely and telling them exactly and being more direct about what you need to free your soul. And like just because like they are now free and now you're supposed to be like, oh, that's so nice, they were trapped and now then they're free. That doesn't absolve them of all the shit that they've done. It doesn't like automatically make that go away. Like they were seconds away from beheading Sarah, and like like have they taken more innocent lives
that,
beforehand? And like
yep, that.
they don't deserve, yeah, they don't deserve to go off and now be happy and be free souls. There should be some kind of like comeuppance for their actions while they were these like crazy like witches. And also, why do they have any actual power anyway inside Watcher's Wood? Why would he like take them captive and then give them magical powers basically? That doesn't, like you said, it's just when you dissect it, it just makes absolutely no sense.
It is all over the fucking place. You just nailed it there, though, right? Because that's one thing I didn't really pick up to the end. Where I went, wait, what? Why? Why are they witches? Like there were three girls that were taken. Why did they become witches? I don't understand that. Like that. What happened? Where's the transition? Tell a story about them being given power by the Watcher. even though he was controlling them, but he gave them power to get more victims because he ultimately controls the woods, but he wanted to have powerful beings within it to control people. Do implications of that. You want to imply to them being super untrustworthy. Have them say, "We have been tricked before. The Watcher comes, the Watcher tricks us, tries to give us hope, so we don't know, we can't try." I mean, do stuff like that. It falls up with the slightest tug. This whole thread just collapses.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much for it to fall apart, as you can see, you know.
Well, I think it gets worse as well because on the way back to the camp, as they're heading up the road, we then kind of get some sort of weird out of time ghost thing where a really old-fashioned car slowly drives by. The driver politely nods to them, and in the back seat are the three girls, seemingly the girls from 1919. They all smile and wave to Kelly and Sarah as if to say thank you as they drive on by. What does that mean? Does that mean they went back so they never disappeared? Or that, like, to me, look, what does that mean? I don't
Yeah,
get
like
it.
where are they driving off to? Are they like going off to the afterlife, or are they are now back as young girls, free to roam the world? Like, and what does that mean? Yeah.
But then the camp counselor and all the fellow campers show up looking thrilled to have found him. As Sam ends her story, she asked them all how she did, and Gary and the others all huddled together to come to the unanimous decision. Guess what? Because she thinks they're not going to let her in. Oh no, we've come to a unanimous decision. She's like, oh well, thanks anyway. But guess what? The society is full again. Obviously, we're never going to actually see somebody told no. I'd love it. But if there was anyone to date that deserved to be told no, it was Sam. And this terrible
Mm.
story, if I was there, I would have been, I mean, Gary would have had, we would have kicked off. I'd have kicked off with Gary because it'd have been all, and I would have been, no, I'd have been like, no, fuck you guys. You all thinking with your dicks. You all just saying yeah because you fancy her. This story was not worth it. I would be so, I'd be kicked out. I'd be told, look, you're taking it a little bit too seriously. You're not allowed back next week.
I feel like that's the angle that it's going for. That like they're just giving her a pass because they fancy her. Because like, but they need to Gary some more cred here, man. Like he can't just let any old person in. Like, and just one time, can we please have one of the storytellers that are listening to the story being told? Can they just give some kind of criticism or like feedback, or maybe just be like that aspect didn't make sense? Like, because with this, it's so easy to dissect as we just did. It's not even like complicated or deep. It's like really obvious things that
Surface
you're
value
like, okay,
shit.
like simply why do the girls that we're missing and Watchers with, why are they now witches that have powers? That's it. It's a simple question. And I'd love to know the answer, but we don't get it.
No, we don't. I think they could have come to a really cool solution to the whole like not everybody actually gets into society. I think before this episode starts, or the build up to when Sam is going to be announced, perhaps at the beginning of a episode at the campfire, you have someone go, "Oh man, I hope this new person Sam is going to be like tell a good story because the last couple we have not had anyone been able to tell a good story to cut like in ages and no one's been able to join because the story's been terrible." Like say implied to us, but that's showing us that they haven't allowed people to join because they've been bad.
I know, I'd love if they did like a little montage or something of like people coming in, sitting down, telling a story, and them all kind of looking like, nah, and like it's a little, it'd be nice, you know. But no, of
Yeah,
course, like
but
you said, they accept the first person that comes in because I automatically have to just assume that's because they just have no, like they're all just like a bunch of nerds, aren't they? So I guess they just
yeah,
have nobody that actually wants to do this. So they just kind of have to take who they can take.
you're
Yeah,
lucky that actually people show up. That's it.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I just had an image of Gary in that montage. Gary like having like 300 everybody out of it when they fail, like hoofing them in the chest back out of the woods.
Yeah.
Okay, that was, of course, season three, episode three, The Tale of Watchers Woods. You got any thoughts on this trash? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.